Hi, a very good morning to you. It's nice to see you once again on a Saturday for a BKBB News Behind the News. And yes, do watch our other weekly podcast also, which is about what India is beyond the GDP numbers. That's been released last night. Do look at that as well. And today, my co anchors for this News Behind the News program are Katya, welcome, Janavi, welcome to you too. And Saloni, welcome. And the three of my co anchors are going to discuss three very interesting topics. And the three topics are the first one is how the Prime Minister has now gone into Ghar Wapsi mode with the NRIs. And the second one is about how the core sector is not performing as well as the government would like us to believe. And the third is a topic that everyone's talking about, gold. What's going to happen here? And let's take the first story first. Janvi, could you come in with that first story?
Brain drain has for the longest time been a huge conundrum for India, especially. We've had IIM and IIT graduates and other young pass outs and professionals leaving the country chasing better opportunities where their merit is better recognized and utilized. And now this is an especially pressing issue because of Trump's H-1B visas now requiring Indians staying in the States to pay $100,000 every year, which is pushing a lot of people, especially tech professionals, to come back to India. And we don't know what lies ahead for these people, and if they'll have opportunities equal to the ones that they got back in these places. So just a while back, PK Mishra, the principal secretary to at an IIT convention, encouraging Indians working abroad to return to the country, which is also an initiative under their capacity building commission. So now it'll definitely be great for India to have all these people come back. It'll reduce our dependence on external talent flows and also add on to our whole vision for global innovation. But one important thing is that if you expect Indian youth, to stay in the country, and if you expect to retain all this talent and all the brains here, then you'll have to make sure that they get paid enough for all that they bring to the table, and that they're both intellectually and monetarily just as satisfied in India. So, what are your thoughts on that, sir?
Getting your own people back to the country is always a good idea. Look at China. Every Chinese, almost all the Chinese who go abroad for teaching and studying, come back to China. They build China. Indians can do the same thing, but when Indians want to come back and when you invite Indians back, they have three requirements. One, will I get the same kind of job that my skills for which I have got skills? You can't tell me to work in some other job just although my specialization is in one sector. So A, will I get the right jobs? B, as you rightly pointed out, will I get the right salary? But the third is crucial. Will I have the soft infrastructure that I get in another country? And that includes education for my children. You need healthcare for the family. And you need security. And lastly, you need to have confidence in the judicial system that cases will be decided quickly. India is not talking about the rest, it's only talking about Indians coming back. Have you provided the right infrastructure? Have you provided the right amenities? Great idea, but if you can't give these, not many Indians, if their jobs overseas, will care to come back. They'll first try other countries, and then as an option, a last resort, they may come back to India. Anyway, let's see what happens. But thanks, Janvi. Very crucial point. And that takes us to the second story about the core sector not doing as well as the government would like us to believe. Saloni, could we have you?
So the Ministry of Commerce and Industry (MCI) released a data showing that growth in India's eight core industries plunged to a 3 month low of 3% in September from an upwardly revised figure of 6.5% in August. This is a bit surprising because there was a favorable low base effect. The data showed dualistic growth, with infrastructure-based industries doing well and energy segments registering negative growth rates. The data also showed positive results in August, but in September, the output in coal was minus 1.2%, crude oil was minus 1.3%, refinery products were minus 3.7%. Meanwhile, natural gas output, which was minus 3.8% for September, fell for the 15th consecutive month. Among the four infrastructure sectors, the output in steel production was accelerated by 14.1%, marking the third consecutive month of double digit growth. This growth is the reflection of the strong demand from the construction sector, which is being propelled by government capex. So, talking about last September, last September 2024, the index of core industries (ICI) had registered a growth of 2.4%. For the first half of the current financial year, which was April to September, growth stood at 2.9% against 4.3% during the same period last year. What's your take on this, sir?
Infrastructure is great. If your real estate starts going faster, which is what has happened, others core sector indicators have gone down. The two sectors that have done very well are electricity and real estate. The first could be possible because of lots of freebies being given to the rural sector because the elections in some states are just around the corner. So electricity has not become such a reliable indicator of economic growth. But the second one, real estate, is a little worrying because it points to a speculative streak that Indians seem to have. Remember the figures that came out in the Jane Street episode? India accounts for 60% of global speculative trades in derivatives, even though it has only 4% of market capitalization. India will have to do a lot more. It means changing the environment in which new investments come in and new businesses can survive and thrive. Thanks, Saloni. And that, in a way, links up to the third story, and that is on gold. Gold is linked to what's happening in the economy and in the world. Katya, could we have your story?
I don't know the world, sir, but we had a spectacular gold run for the last 2 to 3 weeks. The rally has snapped. While a lot of people are seeing this as a negative thing, actually, it is only a snap in the rally. It has run up a lot in the last 1 month, run up a lot in the last 2 years. If you can see the figures, almost over doubled. It was around under 2000 per ounce. Now it's gone beyond 4000. A lot of traders say it's only consolidating at this particular point, so there will be a few at this staggering heights. There will be certain volatility. The reason for the current fall only was because they expect lower interest rates, Fed to lower interest rates because of the US data that has come in. But what happens when interest rates are lower? The opportunity cost of holding metals like gold and silver comes down. So that is the story. But long term, a lot of people say that because uncertainty still prevails, the trade deal has never come to picture. There are US and China are still at loggerheads. India is in between the loggerhead, so we do not know where it will end. So as long as uncertainty stays, gold will continue to hold on to its value. Silver obviously is another story. Silver had a huge rush, and the rush had softened, but silver is known for these huge ups and downs and volatilities. In fact, it's called the devil's metal for these very reasons, because people make a lot of money, they lose a lot too. So this is what a lot of people have been warning. So a lot of things have happened on the bullion market. What is your reading, sir? You think gold will hold on?
I think gold will hold on for several reasons.
Mm,
One, in the last 5 years, central banks have bought more gold than even speculators and
right.
individual investors. When governments themselves start backing gold, you know that there is something afoot. And what's afoot is that confidence in the dollar is plummeting.
Mm,
Almost every country in the eastern sector, the ASEAN region, Japan, Korea, which used to invest about $7.5 trillion every year in dollars, have
mhm,
decided not to invest in dollars anymore. Most countries are jettisoning dollars. China has created two gold bourses, one in Saudi, one in Hong Kong, so that you can have gold back trade. And just a couple of days ago, China announced that its digital currency will now be available to all ASEAN countries. And if that is not enough, Saudi has agreed to sell its oil in RMB. India too has agreed to pay for some of its oil in RMB.
Right.
When you have movement away from the dollar, there's a huge lack of confidence in the monetary system. And the only currency that makes sense is gold. And that is why gold is going to get stronger. And in India, please remember gold prices are going up also because the rupee has been losing value. And that is also frightening. So for the common man, gold is the best hedge against inflation.
True.
And every time there's a dip, I'm quite certain many Indians will go and buy some gold, pushing the prices up again.
Yes, yes. By the dips. So, certain states in the US, like Florida, have also started accepting gold as currency. So, not only is dollar losing its value overseas, like there is some problem within the country as well, considering its debt or whatever that's happening. What do you think about that?
In the US, everyone is scared. US has to pay back
Right.
$9.2 trillion before the end of this
Hmm.
year. It doesn't have the money. And if bankers and fund managers want to roll that money over, they're going to demand higher coupon rates. Or else the US will print more notes. Both of them will cause inflation.
Exactly.
If the US reneges the debt, there'll be a crisis all across the countries. And 2008 will be just a small tea party. There's crisis. Everyone is now beginning to realize that the dollar cannot go along the way it has. Till now, America had three businesses: oil. It was oil. It was selling of arms, and it was business. Business has been hurt by tariffs and by what do you call it? By tariffs and by immigration laws.
Mm.
Oil. Nobody wants American oil.
Right.
And the third thing, which is why he's trying to pressure India to buy American oil and stop buying Russian oil.
Russian oil. Yeah.
And the third area is that the US has almost no business left. And in arms, its third big business. The war in Europe and the war in the Middle East have shown that American equipment is not as good as the one supplied by Russia, China, and even Iran at a fraction of the cost. America
So,
is losing.
going back to our first story, so if what do you think is the mentality of NRIs in India? Because America is not a great place to live. India says come back, but the situation here is also not that great either. So, considering one reasons why fewer NRIs could think of coming is because in most urban cities the real estate prices are so high that it's cheaper to buy a house in a smaller town in America than to come actually to an urban city in India. So how are they stuck in between?
They're stuck in between, so they'll try to find a job in Germany, in New
Mm,
Zealand, in Australia, elsewhere. If all fails, they'll come back to India. But they'll always have an eye overseas because they need so many more things which the country has to learn to provide.
right.
Anyway, let's see what happens. But okay, we'll take a few questions and then there's one question which has already come in. What, why is the USD losing or weakening? Why is the USD weakening faster? It's weakening faster because its ground realities in America are also weakening, and the dollar is only a reflection of the country from where it comes. If America's economy falters, the dollar will falter. And remember, America has a huge debt of $37 trillion, which threatens to cross $40 trillion. And when you borrow money, you have to pay interest. When you pay interest, it takes money away from development. That worsens the problem. And there is another question. Will real estate prices keep climbing? I don't know. These are speculative areas. Will gold prices keep climbing? I don't know. Yes, the tendency is that gold will remain. as one bulwark against a corrosion of currencies across the world. But will the prices increase? That's speculative. I'm not going to say yes or no. And anyway, there is one more question. Is the center creating new employment schemes? I wish it were. To create new employment, unless the government is creating government jobs, which is not the job of the government. The government has to create conditions for private investments, both from within India and from outside India, to come in. You have to make the investment climate attractive. And that is what the government is not doing. Until you do that, job creation will remain difficult, which means you'll have violence on the streets. Because they are the most susceptible to talks about ideology, talks of communalism, talks about us versus them. If you want to stop that, you have to first create the conditions for investments to come in. And that takes me to the end of the session today. Do watch the podcast that's come out, that's been put up yesterday evening on looking beyond GDP. It's an eye opener because many people in India keep looking at GDP. There's much more which the government does not like to talk about and does not want you to know about. Do watch it. And yes, come back for news behind the news once again next Saturday at 8:15 in the morning. It's great to have you here. It's great to be here once again discussing this. Take care. Have a lovely week ahead and have a great weekend.